Hello, everyone. I'm Emily K. Thomas, and I am a business energetic advisor, and I align high performance entrepreneurs and executives towards profitable goals in essence with their unique energetic framework. And you can catch me this week on the Jesse T Show.
Emily K. Thomas, what is up, girl?
Hey, it's so good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. All the way from Portugal.
Today I'm in Portugal. Yes. I'm all over the world. You can catch me in different places all over the world.
Today on the
Depends
Jesse
on
T
where I
Show.
am. Yep. Today I'm on the Jesse T Show, and I am in Portugal,
Oh
and
yeah.
I am stoked to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you, and such a great vibe that we have in conversation. And we did some work together, and you worked your magic in my world in terms of energy and just kind of things that have played out. And we'll get into that in detail. But who are you? What do you do?
I am an energetic advisor. So, in layman's terms, I help people understand who they are at soul level and help them really implement those energetic qualities in everything that they do so that they enjoy life more, to be honest. So, I want to be known for that person that just loves life. And bigger than that is helping everyone else just love their own life, right? And not always aspiring to be something, different or better, but just actually being yourself. Like, how are you? And who are you? And how can you really implement that into everything that you do?
A
So,
human being.
a human being, not human doing, right?
Love it.
Yes. So,
So tell me a little bit about this energy advisor slash, guru, mom, business entrepreneur, 1%, ass kicker, all that good stuff. Who is that, and what does all that mean?
oh my gosh. Okay, so I'll just kind of give you the dirty of it all.
That's what we want to hear.
I up until this point, up until about 2 years ago, I was really just trying. I was on this journey of self development, right? And I think we can get so caught up in this, and it can be actually a good or bad thing, right? And I was caught on, and it really helped me up to a certain point to really work on myself, but up until about 2 years ago, I found myself, it was kind of like this awakening moment where I was like, what am I doing? I found myself really just locking into, oh, I need to be better. I need to get this out of my life. I need to change this about me. And it was exhausting, right? So it got me to a certain point where I realized I knew this is the direction I wanted to be in. But then at some point, I was like, when is it going to give? When am I just going to allow myself to be who I am and be cool with Emily? And so that was really a moment where I started to get inquisitive about, okay, who really is this person and how do I want to show up in the world? And it came down to a moment where I was actually planning a speech for my grandmother's memorial.
Mm.
And in that process, it's a beautiful process. It's right. It's the catch 22, right? You're planning the memorial speech at someone you dearly love, but it also helps you really ground into the present moment. And for me, it was very much like, okay, let me write out my story. This is my grandmother's story. She is an incredible woman. Let me write out my story and see where that leads. Like, if I were to die today, like, what would that look like? And so I started writing out like the path that I was on. And it was very short winded. It was very short. It was like, okay, she made an impact with X amount of people and she, something really short. And I was like, this is not big enough. This is not me. So then I decided to write the second letter to myself. Okay, this is going to be the legacy letter is what I call it. My legacy letter of really what I wanted to be and how I wanted to expand and what it could look like, right? And what I found is that letter was endless. It's still something that I continue to write and expand on today. So it's an exciting journey, and the point of me telling you this is that everybody gets an opportunity to create the life that they want, and we have to choose what direction we want to take. We can't just be at the mercy of life doing things to us. We get to choose how we want to take the wheel back and drive into our ideal future. And the best thing about this whole process was really getting to know who I was at soul level. I ended up getting a very aligned mentor who helped me navigate that process. And I believe in this process so deeply because it helped me fine tune not only how I wanted to be presented in the world, but how I wanted to create. And my business has taken off as a result. So now I do the same for others as I help them really understand who they are at soul level. I help them mitigate risk. I think the most valuable thing we have in life is our time. So I help people save time in, like I said, mitigating risk and also understanding like, okay, what is it that's going to receive the most value, increase the bottom line for my business, or help me with my relationship the fastest, or help me with myself, right? Understand and get a deeper relationship with my own identity, right? So I help people really cut through the bullshit, right? And help them break through the blocks and restrictions that are in their way energetically. So I do an energetic analysis of who you are at soul level, and then I also see what blocks and restrictions are in place. And I do it within the lens of a business, right? So I work with high level entrepreneurs who are established, right, and have established a certain a number of assets, a dollar amount, right? And they want to maintain that while also growing and going to the next level. And sometimes this doesn't even mean that we look at the business structure. A lot of times it does, yes, but most of the time it really is about going in and unlocking these parts of yourself that have been blocking that abundant flow of energy that can really catapult you into where you want to be.
So much we're going to unpack there, from exactly what you do to mentors to, I want to know what was in the legacy letter. Like, can you share with us some of the things where you I guess you stopped playing small and you started playing big, and you were like, I'm bigger than I can have more impact on those that are around me, the world. I can leave my legacy. I can shine my light. Like, what did all that mean, and what did all that look like, and how is it playing into your life today?
Oh my God. Okay. So the biggest thing was I wanted to be free to my word. Okay. I'm going to talk about three different ways that your audience, without working with me, how they can actually start to implement this work into their lives. So get your pens ready, you guys. But one of the ways that I really decided through this process of developing the legacy letter, I created a new life for myself, right? And I wanted to create a framework for my clients and people around me that could actually implement this as well. So my answer is twofold. One, I wanted to create a framework that could help other people and create a massive and very applicable way to approach this. Two, I wanted to also create an essence of freedom. So I'm gonna kind of go granular here with you for a second. So when we talk about really understanding who we are at soul level, my work is really intimate, right? So I work with people one-on-one. But what I'm going to give you today is a way that you can actually work through this process on your own. And if you want to dive deeper, feel free to reach out. But to answer your question about my legacy letter, it was really to not only I kind of hinted at this in the beginning, not only to make a big impact, but to truly, genuinely, from the deepest essence within myself, really enjoy life, right? Laugh more, spend more. And what that means, if you actually peel back the onion, there is like, okay, what does that mean? Okay, I really want to live a comfortable lifestyle financially. I want to have a very open communication with my husband. I want to have a very conscious relationship with my children. I want to, live anywhere in the world, which I am obviously doing. And I want to work less, right? I want to work less and make more. Like, to be completely frank with you, like, these are the things that I really wanted to create in order to create that embodiment of living a life that really feels free to me. All right. So in my legacy letter, it was like the sense of freedom. And then I dialed that down into like, okay, what does the sense of freedom feel like? What does it look like? What is the color of freedom? What is the development of my friendships? Like, what does that look like in every shape and form of my life? And I continue to journal and really workshop this consistently, because the more that you actually dial this down, the more you start to embody it, right? So that's a perfect transition into what I want to help your audience do today. If you're interested in hearing,
Bring it.
obviously.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So there's three different ways that I like to, since I work in the energetic space, I like to bring it down into like the essence of your energy. Okay, so the first step, always the first step in anything you really do, is to understand the baseline. Like, where's your starting point, right? So the first step in actually helping you understand and clarify your soul level energetics is to understand what is your baseline energy. What is the energy that you're emanating at all times, right? And this is sometimes hard to pinpoint, I will say. Okay. So, one of the best ways that I've found, and this is really how I've kind of dialed this down and helped you guys to digest this and help you actually. I'm all about like practical application, right? Because I live in the spirit world and very much like the spiritualism side, but I'm also about very grounded and very, you know, action based. Um, so I want you to start asking people around you. So if you can ask like 7 to 10 people, I know this sounds weird, but just ask 7 to 10 people that you know and a couple of people that are just acquaintances. Really, like, how would you describe my energy? And there's a strong distinction between like, okay, them telling you what you are or what they think of you versus what energy you emanate. Okay. So make sure that that's very clear in the question that you ask. So, like, really, what is the quality of my energy that you feel when you're around me? Like, what does it feel like when I'm speaking to you? And just be very open to hearing. Okay. So, what we're doing is we're really collecting data. And through the data collection process, you're going to get a lot of information about yourself, right? But on top of asking other people, I want you to do another mirror exercise. And this is all under the first bucket, which is obviously the baseline energy. Okay. I want you to really look at yourself in the mirror, truly, truly look at yourself in the mirror and understand that that reflection is the energy that you're giving out. Right. And, the law of attraction is something that is kind of overdone these days and spoken about too much. But in in truth, that's what it's the law, right? So like what energy you're putting out is the energy you'll receive back. And I'll give you a quick example. I've been working with this client, and we'll call her Sarah just for confidentiality purposes. But she owns a PR firm, and she came to me wanting to up level and create another arm of her business, right? So she's doing super well, but she wanted to create another product suite. And when she wanted to create this product, she was asking me if it's an alignment. And a lot of times when I'm working with clients, we'll go over the business, we'll go over what you created, what your marketing systems, what your sales systems are, what your products and systems are, who are the people on your team. I go into all of that to make sure that it's in alignment with your number one, your intention, and also your unique energetic framework. And I'll go into that in a second, but so she came to me looking to create another element of her business structure. And I first asked her, I said, okay, can you do this? Can you tell me what your baseline energy is? Like, what is that baseline energy? Can you look in the mirror right now? Can you tell me what that is and why? Like, what is the uncovering and the true why beneath that? Like, what is it that you're wanting to create? And she came to me and she was brutally honest. I'm so grateful that she was, but she said, hey, this is coming from a place of scarcity, right? I'm feeling like I need to create this in order to get to the next level. And I'm that reflector back to her. Like I'm so passionate about just being somebody's guide. Like, you're the hero. You are the one that's going to be able to create the life that you want. Like, I am the guy that is going to support you and cheer you on and help you course correct, but you are the hero in your own story. So I am that person that reflected back to her. And I said, okay, well, that's probably the energy that you're going to receive back into your business. And that's probably, I'm just going to put that out there. That's probably not the energy you want, right? So with that said, we move down to the next phase, which I'm going to explain now, which is really about being very intentional. So the second thing so the first one is baseline energy. The second one is your intentional energy. So what is that intentional energy that you want to create in the world, right? So, okay, if you are wanting to up level, what does that up level really mean to you? How can you dial that down to one single word. Okay. This is really important. And in a lot of my courses and in my master classes that I offer, I kind of workshop this with people to help them understand what that one word is. So let's just stick with Sarah's example just for the heck of it. So she really wanted to create, she wanted to feel more alive. So we actually had to work that down, workshop it a couple times to actually get that down to like what she wanted. But, you know, the way that we actually workshop that, I keep saying that, is by asking yourself, really, why is that important to you? Why is that important to you? And then, okay, why is that important to you then? So let's say if you wanted to create more money, okay, why is that important to create more money in your life? Okay, why is that important for you to build a family? So really understanding what makes you feel that essence that way, that's going to help you really create that end goal that you're aiming for. So for Sarah's example, she really wanted to feel alive. So I asked her, okay, what will making you feel alive, what would that look like in your life? Right? What would that sense of that energy, what would that, how would that be incorporated into your business? Now, there's something else that I've worked with her on, and I touched on this a second ago, is her unique energetic framework. Okay, so this is why it's really important to actually work together one-on-one sometimes, is because it can help you understand who you are at soul level. And this is something that you and I worked on together, Jesse, is I helped you understand who you are. And that comes, a lot of times when I work with very conscious people, they already know who they are, right? Like, so when I was speaking this and sharing your gifts with you, you were nodding your head consistently. You're like, yep, 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 that's very accurate. So a lot of times it's very validating, but that validation can provide a sense of confidence. And when you're confident and when you have that conviction in what you do, that's when you can truly attract more people. That's magnetism, right? So like people are attracted to confidence. So understanding who you are at soul level, that coupled with you having that one word intentionality helps you develop something that is truly unique and divinely created within the energy and the essence of you. So number 3 is so it's really important for you to create those action items. And I'm going to go over actually the action items of what we discussed together, right? So so it's really important for us to number 3, right? So number 3 is always about applying that energy. Okay. So I touched on this a second ago, but yeah, really understanding who you are at soul level, understanding what that intention is. What's that baseline energy that you're putting out there, and infusing that into everything that you want to create. So infusing that into your colors, the way that you're showing up online, the way that you're showing up on video, the way you're showing up on podcast interviews, on, social media. Everything needs to be really drenched in and marinated in that energy of what you're trying to create. So that sense of being alive. Okay, what does that look like? Right? Does that is that like dull and like just not very colorful website? Is it a, very, monotone voice, right? No, it's probably not. It's probably bright colors. It's probably talking about things that really matter to you, that you're passionate about. That's creating something from the essence of your heart, right? That makes you feel really energized, because that's going to attract your clientele that you really want. And it's going to be tenfold in the way that you actually capture more ROI for your business. And not only that, like the byproducts of all of this is that you're going to have a lot more abundance in every shape of your life, like in your relationships, in your friendships, in your relationship with yourself, because you are truly embodying that sense of being alive, like Sarah was, right? So that's just a little example of how you can actually start applying this in your own life, right? So that intentional energy, right? I'm sorry. Let me just repeat. So we have the baseline energy, we have the intentional energy, and then the last one is the embodied energy. I said action energy, but I meant embodied energy. So the embodiment of that energy is so key. So when you and I worked together, we talked about cultivating truthful marketing, right? We talked about really utilizing the access to truth, because one of your gifts is really about identifying the truth for people and helping the truth in others be almost like giving them permission to share their truth,
Yep.
right? So you've done a lot of work on yourself, right? And that's evident in the sense of alignment that you're having in every asset and every facet of your business. But how can you apply that and embody that in different elements of your business and your relationships, so that that truth actually supports other people around you, correct?
Yeah.
So that's really what we worked on together. Can you share a little bit about your experience?
Yeah, it was amazing because, like you said, it was these things that I had clarity on, but they were confirming, or they were also, there was things that we went super deep on, like my soul's journey and different lifetimes and all these different things. And it was just really a couple things that came up were insightful for me, and it was things that I had like a feeling on. So like most everything, like you said, because I do the work and I do kind of have a great sense of self and where I'm aligned, there was a couple things that I had a feeling of but never put words to, and it was like this potential area of lack in my life and where that was coming from, and how that kind of played out in my interactions day to day. And I think that the energy that I bring day to day into relationships, into business, and to everything that I do was completely in alignment with what you came back to me with. And so the process, which I want to learn more about in terms of, I think it's, is it Akashic Records? Is that what it's called?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's the modality that I use. Yep.
Yeah. If we could talk about the specific modality of what that actually is,
Okay.
kind of high level, how you do what you do, how you got into that work. And then we can kind of talk about my experience in that protocol that we did.
Sure, sure. Yeah. I think there are so many different means and ways to access this deep level of knowing within yourself, right? And so I just want to start by saying that the Akashic Records is a modality that really, really worked for me and works with a lot of, majority of the clients that I've worked with, right? But it's not the only way, right? So it's I'll be completely honest with you. I came from I was in the medical industry for years, a very scientific, matter of fact, rational background. And so when I started exploring other paths, I was really resistant to it. And it wasn't until I I was in that, like I mentioned, I wrote that letter and I was like, okay, something has to give. I want to find out more about something that can help me understand myself better. And I had a session with somebody who said, this is the path that you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be sharing this work with people. And I hadn't even entertained that idea because it just wasn't the path that I was used to. I trained and I had programmed myself to think that, okay, well, I need to have this funnel. I need to have this. I need to be very rational. I need to have, I can't talk too much about spiritualism. I need to dress a certain way. I need to look a certain way. And then I realized, okay, that is just really so far. It might like, it got me to where I am and I was very successful, et cetera. But at the same time, let's unpack that. Let's really see like what is Emily and what I've been programmed to believe.
Yep.
And so I just decided to, okay, throw in the towel of what I thought I knew and just start from scratch. And from then, like having an outlook of always being a student has been so rewarding in so many different ways. And I've actually studied a lot of really successful entrepreneurs, and that's really the common thread amongst most people that are really well, you probably agree. You're a constant student. You're a student of life and you don't know it all. The moment that you say you know it all, you're in trouble.
That's it.
And
You get
so,
passed up.
yeah, yeah. So I think it was that experience that really, okay, well, maybe I should really look more into this. And then it took a process of really me practicing and attuning and working with hundreds of clients. And really, I'm very, it's very, very, ethics are really, really important for me. Okay. So ethically, I didn't feel comfortable working with clients until I really tested this out. And similarly with Akashic Records, it's really important to have the permission. And unlike psychics or mediums where you can just like go in and say, what is going to happen with my ex-boyfriend? What's going to happen with my, with my wife, all this stuff. You can't do that. There are very, very strong boundaries in place here where you have to have permission from that person to go into their record, because basically, let me just go into detail about the records really quick. The
Yeah.
records are basically a database, an energetic database, that has every action, every thought, everything that you have ever done in this database. Okay. So if you can imagine, that's a shit ton of information. but but that's why this work is very intentional, right? So I don't, if I were to go in and say, okay, well, what do I see today? It would be so ambiguous. It wouldn't provide any support to anybody, right? It would do me no good. So I am very intentional with what I go into. So I help whenever I'm working with somebody, I ask them, okay, what is the intention of what you want to create? Where are you right now? What's your current situation? And basically I look at it as energetic research. So it takes me a good deal of time because I'm going in, I'm in a deep trance state and I'm actually helping, I'm answering questions. And sometimes it takes 3 hours, sometimes it takes an hour and a half to really get and understand what is happening energetically for you. So let me take another step back. So the quantum world recognizes 10 dimensional states of reality, right? So we talk about the third 3D, third dimension, and that's really the densest form of us right now, like that you can see and feel. Like that's the most what we're most familiar with, right? The fourth dimension is really our thoughts and our mind, right? Really important, of course, but you can't really, you can't touch your thoughts, right? And the fifth and above is like the spirit, the soul. Okay. And so you can imagine that when you're in the fifth dimension and above, time isn't linear, right? So when I'm accessing somebody's information, I'm actually working in the fifth or sixth dimension where I can actually go to who you are at soul level the day of the birth of your soul, right? And so why is that important? It's important because it helps me understand again who you are before any before any programming, before any choices, good or bad, were made, and I can understand who you are, what your baseline soul level is, right? And from that space, I then can skip to where we are today in time and see what is blocking you from expressing this divine expression of yourself. Right. So, what are the programs? What are the experiences? What are the things that have created within the structure of your life that has hindered your ability to express yourself fully? Because when you express yourself at soul level, you are destined to receive abundance in all shapes and sizes. So, really, like my work is all about helping you go back to your nature, go back to who you are, and allow that essence of that who you are to shine through in every part of your business, every part of your relationships, every part of who you are. And that will result in true happiness. You will feel your best. And I am so passionate about doing this work because I have lived it. I wouldn't be able to do it and sit here today across from you and say that this works without actually experiencing it. And it's just not who I am. I wouldn't be able I am not a liar. I can't lie. But because I've implemented this work, because I've seen it work time and time again, and I've experienced it myself over the years and fine tuned the procedure and the process so much that I've helped people really catapult their businesses and have, we had a $1.3 million launch with one of my clients, like insane. He didn't even know how that was physically possible, but we did it because we unlocked some of the blockages that were in place for him that needed to be fixed. And sometimes it's as simple as that, is like creating these clearings of, clearing the work that has been, kind of forced, and shift that into a space of flow, right? When I'm presenting, I talk about the law of conservation of energy. And if you do remember that from physics class, so energy cannot be, it can't be created or it can't be destroyed, right? So that's really what the law really means. So when we're talking about the business structure and we're looking at, like, let's imagine it as a shape of a pyramid, right? So like you have the the contributors at the bottom. So we're the contributors, right? And we're trying to work our way to the top through the funnel of a business structure. So we have the contributors also create the products and services based off of your energy, and those products and services get marketed to the clients. And if it's marketed well, they sell. So that's the next phase. And then if it sells, then the energy is transformed into money, and that goes back to the contributors, right? So do you see that flow of energy? That the energy is very consistent, and it's flowing very beautifully through that business model. Now, that's the ideal structure. So when I'm looking and working with clients and I'm looking at, okay, what's happening with that energetic flow? Is it blocked? Is there not enough energy flowing to a specific product and service? Is it that the contributors aren't correct? For instance, like if you're hiring a freelancer and their energy is off and it's not actually in line with your intentions for that product, then it's gonna create a problem. So I do an overall analysis of the business structure and help you understand the specific assets of the business that are in actual alignment, so that that energy is free flowing and it's channeled through that business structure properly, so that you're going to reap the benefits of that energetic flow of financial freedom and the financial goals that you're actually attaining to achieve. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. And I'm excited to learn about the fifth and sixth dimension in terms of, you said dropping into like a trance-like state. What is that like for you? Like, what's the process for you? Are you meditating? Are you kind of like tuning out things? Like, what does that look like? And what does it feel like when you're in the fifth, sixth, and further on dimensions?
Such a good question. So I think it's sacred for anybody, right? So like if you can imagine, like when you're on plant medicine or when you're in a specific trance state, when you are, however you get there is unique, right? And so it's really a process that's not going to, my process isn't going to be the same for somebody else. It's unique to what really works for you. And I'll share mine because I'm an open book, but basically every single time I sit down and prepare for a session. So I only take a certain amount of clients. As you can imagine, it's very time consuming, and
Yeah.
it's not just me working with somebody for an hour and saying, okay, yeah, boom, we're done. There's a lot of research and a lot of time involved, and it's very important to me and crucial that I'm accurate. So I schedule out and batch out time specific for each client so that I can make sure that I drop in and I'm appropriately channeling and getting that information for them. So I have a ceremony that I do. I write out my intentions, and what's so important that I actually speak and connect with my own guides and ask for support, but most important is that I get out of my own way,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So getting out of my own way is one of the biggest challenges that we can do that we have as intuitives, right? Because we try and you know bring everything into our own awareness and our own processes and our own beliefs, and that can actually hinder the accuracy for the clientele. So it's really important that I have that intention of getting out of my own way and creating this sacred space for the client. So I channel and I connect with that energy of the client. And I try to do this as close to my meeting time with the client, because things can change and shift. So let's say that they have a call that comes in from a parent that says that they're in trouble. I want to make sure that I'm tapping into their most accurate and most recent energetic state, right? And so by doing that, I set aside, I have, Palo Santo, I have specific candles that I light, and I have a sacred space within my house. And now I've created that here in Portugal. I actually create it wherever I go, which is really cool because you can do it wherever. But I create this really sacred space that, like, people have these shrines and these meditation spaces, and I do that similar experience. But I start by journaling out exactly what I like, kind of journaling out what the intention is for the client, what they've communicated to me, what their current situation is. And I just sit and meditate in that energy. And I just really concentrate on who they are. Now, this isn't, I've been trained and certified in this process. But this is my unique spin on how I actually tap in, right? So not just that, not anybody can just go in. I don't advise most people to just do this without the proper training and the certifications and such. But I do this, and then I start asking questions, and I have a piece of paper handy. For you, for example, for your session, I asked probably 200 questions.
Wow.
Specific about who you are, about what's blocking you, what that story is, what instance in that life in your life created that. How is that showing up in his business? How is that showing up in his life? And I go into more detail. So, like, let's say it showed up in your marketing. Okay, what marketing is it within the copy on his website? Is it within the copy on his sales page? Is it within the copy of his social media? Is he communicating properly on his podcast? All these different elements, and you can ask all these questions and dial it down so I can actually communicate that to you. So a lot of my sessions with clients are really about me presenting this material, and always start by saying this information is not for me. So a lot of it doesn't even make sense. So when I was sending or sharing the information about you, Jesse, a lot of it didn't make sense to me. And I was even hesitant at times to share it because I was like, I hope this doesn't hurt his feelings, but this is what came through and it's really important that I share it.
Yeah,
So
there was one thing that came through that was really interesting, and it was lifetimes ago, somewhere along the line, I was involved in like the accidental death of a child.
yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
that was really interesting because I don't necessarily have any that I know of, maybe subconsciously, but I don't have any like guilt or shame around that feeling. But to know that that could have happened along my soul's journey X amount of lifetimes ago was just really interesting to hear.
Well, I think the way that you interpret this information is also really important, right? So, like, somebody who hears that could be like, "Holy shit! Like, I am screwed up,"
Yeah.
or you can have the perception of, "Okay, this is why I'm so good with children. This is why I love my family so deeply." So you can also spin it in a way that actually shows that you've grown from that. So
Yeah.
when I'm looking at the blocks and restrictions, I get excited when I see blocks and restrictions or things that have showed up in somebody's profile, because that means that it's an energetic opportunity to create more and be better. So it's really exciting. So when you have that attitude about it, it also helps you, really create a new life that is intentional and more in alignment with what you want.
Yeah, no, it's incredible, and it gives you so much insight. And there were so many things you came back to me with and described on, and I have notes that I had taken from our session that really just made sense in terms of how I was showing up in the world, how I could show up better, how I could have more grace and love for myself based on some of the things that I was working on. So there was just so much depth and how to deploy that into my day-to-day life, into my business, into my relationships. It was impactful, to say the least. And so, I mean, just as a case study for those that are listening and those that are watching, if you're interested in this type of work, I mean, there really is some profound information that can really help you level up in different areas and aspects of your life.
Oh, awesome. Thanks for saying that. And that's why I wanted you to experience it before we did this, because I think it's really important for you to understand this work, and that it's not it's so different in the application of working through business, but it's so relevant, right? So sometimes it's just the slightest things of we unlock these little things within ourselves and our business explodes in the best way possible. And I came from a background of, oh, well, if I fix this sales structure, then it'll fix the business. But this is so much deeper. It actually works and is so much more sustainable. Yes, we might also talk about changing the structure or changing the systems within, your sales or your marketing, but that in conjunction with the energetic essence that you want to create and that of your unique energetic framework. So really it's important to really be the embodiment of what you want and also understand who you are at soul level.
No question. No question. And that's where most people hopefully would get to in their life's journey is knowing who they are, knowing, their purpose and knowing what they're called to do and how they can serve and show up in the world. And this type of work can absolutely help propel that. So in terms of the type of people that you love working with, because you've built a quality of life for yourself based on your legacy letter, based on your experience, who do you
Yeah.
like to work with and why?
I love working with people that are truly interested in doing this work. Not just, oh yeah, I want to know like who I am at soul level. I want to really work with people that are key really into working and applying this in their life, right? So like none of this is going to work if you don't take the action to shift these energetic patterns, these negative patterns that have actually created the experiences that you're living right now. So everything that we're living right now is a vibrational match for where we are. So if we want to create a new level of income, or we want to create a different relationship, we need to start looking at our vibrational state and where we are and how we need to get there. So one of the biggest things that I love working with people to understand is their vibrational bandwidth and their vibrational plasticity, right? So like understanding how they can act, like what is their like how can they actually get to where they want to be? Is it possible? Is it feasible for them? That's their bandwidth. So somebody who doesn't make a lot of changes in their life, their vibrational bandwidth won't be very high, right? So I like to work with people that have a high vibrational bandwidth, because that means that they're going to make choices, right? They're going to do the action. And then I also like to see like their vibrational plasticity. Like, okay, how can we get it? How can we get that vibration to move and actually get to that space? So a lot of this work and continual work with clients, like I'm on a retainer for a couple of people that, say, okay, is this working for me? Like, where's my vibration today? Where does it need to be? And I keep them on track. So I help them be a vibrational accountability partner and say, okay, this is really, really not in alignment for you right now. Like, you shouldn't be presenting at this board meeting. That's not a good, part of who you are. That's not going to help you emanate that essence of what you want to create. Find somebody that will, right? So we can help delegate, we can help create different things, different products, et cetera, that will help them really embody and keep their eye on the prize of what they want to create.
Love it. Love it. So basically high functioning hippies is what you're saying.
Yes, 100%. Thank you. Yep.
Yeah. People that are high performers, people that are ass kickers, people that are at a certain level, but they want that extra knowing of themselves so they can really just, live a life well lived and live their purpose. And I think that you're an embodiment of that. And since you've done the work and since you understand the work, it's really easy for you to convey that message to others. And so what is the rest of 2021 looking like for Emily K. Thomas? Anything big planned, anything exciting going on, whether it's personal or business?
This is the first week back from maternity leave. So I am stoked.
Yeah.
I'm just stoked. Like, I've never been happier in my life. Like, I just gave birth to like the most beautiful earth angel, who has really been the catalyst for helping me dive deeper into this work, actually. So I am just super stoked to really just see where this work takes me and how many people I can impact. But beyond that, just really have a hell of a time. Like, I'm stoked to have the best time ever here in Portugal, create the life that allows me to do whatever the hell I want, while also helping other people create the same. So I'm just honestly, like, sometimes it's like the smallest things in life that can provide you with the most joy. And I'm here to remind people that, when you are an embodiment of who you are and what you're supposed to be, and and what you want to create, like, it's so simple. It gets to be easy. And so I'm stoked to continue with that. I also have a new website that's coming out. My podcast is always live. I have a new blog, which is going to be more about travel and just really living aligned life. And I'm really excited about it.
Love it. Well, you are amazing, mighty, and powerful. I'm thankful for our connection, our friendship, and I'm excited to see like the work that we're going to do as we go along and the people that we'll touch and the experiences we'll share. But thank you so much for being you, and catch us on next week's episode of the Jesse T Show.